Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a review of Basketball Wives. I saw the first episode and I'm actually kind of interested in seeing what this season has to offer. I did not watch last season because I wasn't feeling how they was treating OG, and they were in two separate houses and it was just stupid. So I didn't watch that season at all, but I see that they completely have a new cast. Not really new, it's just a bunch of old people that they brought back. Really nobody from last season, so I'm kind of excited. I've always liked LA. I just feel like it got bad when Shaunie came over. I'm just gonna go ahead and get into the video. So if I'm looking down, I'm just reading the notes that I took on the episode. So first they start off at Jackie's wedding. I think this is the best way to kind of introduce all of the girls. Jackie is the neutral party. She's kind of cool with everybody, and also she is pretty much the head of the group now. Shaunie kind of gave her that torch in the later scenes in this episode, so we'll talk about that later. They all look good, but I just want to say Jennifer looked especially good in the first scene with that brown hair. I've never seen her with brown hair. She looked so good. Shaunie calls to tell Jackie she is missing her flight. Not surprised at all. Like, I really don't care if Shaunie doesn't come around these girls. Unless she got like Tammy or Evelyn tagging along, she really don't come around. Which, I don't care. So, after that, then they all start walking in her wedding. So Duffy walks in first with her man. And then Angel walks in, Angel Brinks. Angel hid her pregnancy very, very well in this first scene. I almost forgot she was pregnant because you couldn't tell at all with that black dress. You could tell in the confessional, but you couldn't tell like in that first scene. She looked good. Then it was Brooke, then Malaysia. Malaysia walks in. Of course, she goes and sits on the other side of the room. That is just so Malaysia. Then British, then Jennifer. And Jennifer actually goes and sits beside Malaysia on the other side of the room, which I was kind of confused because I didn't think they were that cool. Like, I knew they had made up, but I didn't think they were that cool. Then Brandi walks in. Of course, they're gonna make Brandi last. Malaysia instantly looks annoyed. She sits on the other side. She waves at Jennifer, and then Malaysia just kind of looked at her and gave her this little stank face and looked away. And you know, that really bothered. That's the part about Malaysia that really bothers me. She is very immature. Like, if you don't like the girl, if you don't want to speak to her, fine. Don't speak to her. Like, don't acknowledge her. Don't like look in her direction just to be like, Like, that is so childish. And so then they go into Malaysia and Brandi because Jennifer was shocked. She was like, so y'all really don't talk? And Malaysia was like, no. So they start talking about, like, you know, they fell out, which is probably going to be like the main storyline of the season. But I just need them to talk about why they fell out, because they don't really talk about that part. They just talk about like, oh, we don't speak. She hasn't talked to me. I haven't talked to her. But they're not talking about why they haven't spoke. So hopefully they get to that. So they continue on with the wedding. The wedding was very, very beautiful. Okay, the decor was very nice. And you can say what you want about Jackie, but she is the only basketball wife. Like, the show was really about her at this point. So then they skip to the reception. Duffy is the DJ. They show a glimpse of one of the Dorsey sisters. I don't know why they're back. The two that were there last season, because from what I saw, they were just there because they had an issue with Phoebe, and they didn't really meet any of the girls in this new season. So I don't really know why they're there. That's no shade to them, but we didn't know enough about them last season to even want them back. So we just knew you had a beef with Phoebe, and Phoebe's not here. So it's like, why are you here? Then they started talking to Angel about her and Rockstar. Now, this was a very odd match to me. I had already known that they were together because I seen it on social media when they got together. I thought it was odd then. I didn't like what I saw of him on Love and Hip Hop. I think she was dating Jackie Long. That would, like, in my opinion, that was a better match for her. But obviously, like, we don't know the in and outs of relationships. But yeah, that's a very odd match to me. But she's pregnant, so it is what it is. Malaysia then goes over to speak to Jackie and Doug, and Brandi is irritated because Malaysia is ignoring her. I don't understand why Brandi is so pressed, like why she feels like Malaysia has to speak to her. Y'all are not friends. Point blank period. Like, she don't have to speak to you. I agree with Malaysia in that sense. Like, I just don't understand why Brandi was pressing her the whole episode. Like, you're not gonna speak? No. We haven't spoken in 3 years. Like, what is there to talk about? Duffy tells her not to go over there. She should have listened to Duffy, but of course she goes over there anyway. So Brandi walks over trying to force a conversation with Malaysia. Of course, Malaysia is being cold and closed off. We all know how Malaysia is. She then tells her that her father passed, and Malaysia says that she didn't know that. And Brandi's kind of looking at her like, girl, there is no way that you didn't know that. We have mutual friends, da-da-da-da-da. Malaysia's like, I didn't know. First of all, they do have mutual friends, whether they're like close friends or not. They're acquaintances or people that both of y'all know. First, Jackie, for one, like, I'm sure she's very cool with both of y'all. So y'all do have mutual friends. Secondly, Malaysia stated, like, later in the episode that she found out that Brandi had COVID on social media. So it's like, how did you find that out, but you didn't find out that her dad died? But you found out she had COVID. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But at the same time, I feel like if Brandi really wanted her to acknowledge it or say something about it, she should have just told her, because maybe she really didn't know. Brandi is really expecting a lot out of Malaysia right now. I mean, yeah, they were friends for a long time, but y'all aren't friends anymore. And y'all haven't spoken in 3 years. Like, she does not owe you anything. And Malaysia walks out, of course. So Jackie follows her out to try to, you know, see what's going on. And Malaysia states that she just doesn't have it in her. She looks very, very drained, and I can honestly see it on her face. I feel bad for her. I heard, like, the rumor surrounding this season that she's pretty much the one that gets iced out. And it sucks because she seems sick of this already, and it's only the first episode. But she didn't really care when that was OG, so it's like, I feel bad, but I don't really feel too bad. The next scene is Shaunie and Jackie. They showed Shaunie for all of 2 seconds, and they still could have kept that. Like, I really do not care for Shaunie at all. I was completely fine with her missing the wedding. I'm overseeing her, like, around the group after last season. She really just needed to stay gone. She talks about her new boo, who I believe is a pastor. I think I saw that. Like, I saw a lot of this stuff circling around social media before it actually happened on the season. So yeah, she has a new boo. She didn't really say who he was, but I think he's a pastor, if this is the same person I saw on social media. So are they married? I think I saw they were married. Are they married? Is Shaunie a first lady? That's very interesting. She pretty much passes the torch to Jackie, and says, you know, Jackie, you're pretty much in charge of the ladies when I'm not around. You got it. It's in your hands. And rightfully so. I mean, who else would she give that honor to? They start to talk about Brandi and Malaysia's beef because, again, I feel like this is the main storyline of the whole season. Shaunie talks about, like, how she needs to get them back together as if she truly, truly cares. I don't think she does, because in a previous season, she literally said, like, I like y'all as individuals, but I don't like y'all together. Now, people change. So maybe it changed, and maybe it didn't. Stop. So then they cut to Angel and Rockstar. And again, like, a very odd couple to me, but maybe I gotta watch them a little more to see, like, how they connect. They finally introduced Angel's pregnancy as if we didn't know that already. Like I said, you couldn't see it at the wedding, but you could kind of see it in the confessionals. And also, I knew when she broke the news on social media. Don't really have too much to say about them. I just gotta see more of them as the season go by. Then they cut to Malaysia. And she's FaceTiming her kids. She starts talking about, like, her issues with co-parenting. She didn't really say much. She goes more into it later in the episode. So, you know, we'll get into that later. Then it cuts to Doug and Jackie's new home in Sacramento. The house was beautiful. I love what I saw of the outside. It was like a pool and a couch area. Like, the house was gorgeous. Doug got a job as an assistant coach. Congratulations to him. They're talking about how he's going to be gone a lot, and you know, Jackie, she's going to be devastated, and we all know how Jackie is. So I'm sure it'll be hard for her, but I'm sure she'll be fine because he's been on the road before. So Brandi and Shaunie meet up, and they try to introduce it as like, you know, y'all remember us from our beef, but we're good now. And to be honest, I don't think anyone thought that they were still beefing, because they had an episode where they were on a trip in a cabin and Shaunie apologized to her. So I didn't think they were beefing. I don't know why they introduced it like that. I knew they got over it. Of course, they started talking about Brandi and Malaysia's beef again. Honestly, like, I'm annoyed and I'm sick of hearing about it at this point, because I have no idea why they fell out. Nobody knows. Everybody's just asking why, and they're talking about everything except why. Like, either talk about it or don't. If this is going to be the main story of the season, talk about everything. Don't just keep talking about, like, oh, you didn't tell me my dad, you didn't reach out to me when my dad died, I haven't heard from you, you didn't speak to me. Like, okay, but what happened before that? So hopefully we get more into that as the season goes on. Next is Malaysia and Jackie. And Jackie asks Malaysia for advice with co-parenting, and that's when Malaysia goes deeper into her co-parenting issues. She mentions that her ex-husband doesn't pay child support, and he definitely has the money, and she doesn't want to take him to court about it. And I kind of get that. You're not wanting to drag the court system and stuff, but it's like, how else do you expect to get your money? Like, if he's telling you no and you want your money, what other plan do you have? I feel like the court is like the only option to actually get your money back, but I understand not wanting to go through that, especially like if y'all are in an amicable place. She goes and says, basically, this is the reason why I don't have the energy for all this drama. That's why I'd rather just walk away with Brandi. And, I can understand that. I could see that. She's always been cold, but she'll go back and forth a little bit. Like, she just wasn't trying to talk to Brandi at all. She was just completely blowing her off. So Jackie invites her to a girls' night because she's like, let's come release the tension. Of course, we know that's not going to be the case. So we cut to girls' night. Angel finally decides to tell the girls that she's pregnant, as if they didn't freaking know already. This scene was so irritating to me because they were all offering her drinks, acting like they didn't know, and the camera was only was showing like head up. So they made it seem as like nobody knew she was pregnant, but when she announced it, they dropped the camera and it was like a big belly in a white dress. So it's like, I know these girls knew already. Like, what was the point of that scene? Even Brooke was like, yeah, I noticed the bellies, but I just let her be. Y'all all noticed the belly. I guess she had to find some way to come out and tell them, but it was like, girl, like, it was just obvious. You could have just walked in with the belly and just had people like screaming. You didn't have, like, I know they saw you walk in with that belly, girl. Then Malaysia shows up with an attitude, of course. But she admits her energy is not good. So, okay, at least you admitted it. I guess. She says that she's going through family issues, to which Brandi feels like, oh, you didn't care about my family issues, so why should I care about yours? So, of course, she uses this as another opportunity to attack Malaysia. And honestly, I really don't like how Brandi keeps coming at her. There are some things that Malaysia does that I don't agree with, but I don't like how Brandi keeps pressing her. Like, she don't have to talk to you. Then Brandi goes in talking about, oh, you have a character flaw, and we all have character flaws, honey. And she kept saying that because she told her again later, and it's like, we all have character flaws. Like, what's your point? So eventually they go talk one-on-one, and this is where the episode comes to an end. They pretty much argue about the same thing again. Malaysia, whether Malaysia knew about her dad dying or not, why they not speaking around the ladies, and like, it's the same thing I said earlier. If you're not getting to the root of the issue, you can keep it. I don't want to keep hearing the same argument. They end the episode in the middle of the argument, and it says to be continued next week. This was a pretty strong premiere in my opinion. I like the cast. Again, I just don't understand why the sisters are there. I wish that we saw more of British and Brooke. I'm sure we'll see more of them as the season goes on, but I mean, like, in the premiere. Obviously the main issue this season is Brandi and Malaysia. And then I also saw in the trailer that Jackie and Brooke fight again. But I don't think they're gonna fight, but we did see Jackie flip a table. Those are my comments on the season. Again, it was a pretty solid premiere. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes. Let me know what you guys thought, and I'll see you in my next video.